Hi guys, this is my Booster Club funds, missing funds case study. Number one, category one, problem identification and analysis. The school is George Washington Middle School. Has about 500 students in the school. It's been declining in enrollment because of the location. It's in a larger city, but it's in an older area. Many of the people are moving out of the area to the suburban areas, so it's a lower socioeconomic level. Um, the main characters in the presentation given in the story is Mr. Stevens, the principal. He's well liked by the community, students, and the parents, as well as the faculty. Mrs. Bellman is a parent of a child. She also is a volunteer. She helps out quite a bit with the ticket sales. And Mr. Dumas will come in later in the story as he pays with a $50 bill at the basketball game. Parent involvement at the school is very strong. They're very supportive. They also help, since they're a lower socioeconomic level school, they help with ticket sales and concessions. Instead of hiring people, they use volunteers and parents for the cheer and athletic teams or activities. Here's a story. Mrs. Bowman, she helps out quite a bit. She's usually working every day at the ticket sales. Her daughter becomes like an all-state cheerleader, and she gets invited to New York City to march in a parade there. She's the only one that's going to go. Mrs. Bowman wants the PTA to fund her daughter's trip. It's like $800 just for her to go on this trip. Mr. Stevens makes a tough decision. He decides that that's not a good use of the school's fund money for all the students, denies her request, and it doesn't say what happens after that. But Mrs. Bowman, re-insists that she would like the school to pay for it, and Mr. Stevens just simply tells her that's not going to happen. So, assuming Mrs. Bowman's probably not happy about the situation, as she's working at a basketball game doing ticket sales again, Mr. Dumas, parent, comes in. He uses a $50 bill to pay. Mr. Stevens is like interacting with at the ticket office or the ticket sales box, and he sees the $50 bill as Mr. Dumas enters the arena and pays with it, and notices that he used a $50 bill. At the end of the night, Mrs. Bowman, files a report, and it doesn't say if she tells Mr. Stevens, but it says there's a note in there that 10 tickets were torn and discarded. Stevens starts thinking, hey, where's the $50 bill at? He goes to the money, can't find the $50 bill. With that being said, the exact cost of 10 tickets is $50. So we have a dilemma on our hands. The questions are, where are the torn tickets, the 10 tickets that were discarded? Who else was working with Mrs. Bowman? What happened to the $50 bill? And why did we not sign off on all this stuff before Mr. Stevens got with the security guard and checked the money and made sure it was counted correctly? There's some issues and there's some gray areas that I'll admit that I'm not sure what to do when you don't follow the safeguards, or if there were safeguards, there's nothing indicated in this case. Was the money counted with the administrator as well? None of these things are mentioned in the case study. So the problem is, what happened to the $50 that's missing, and what happened to the 10 tickets? My proposed plan of action is very simple. Number one, I'd notify the district office if I was the principal or the administrator in this case, if I was Mr. Stevens. I'd also collaborate and with them, with fellow administrators, and I would follow the legal advice of the law team at our school. I'd also meet with the parents responsible for the tickets that night individually, Mrs. Bowman and the other ticket taker. I'd interview, or I would question them in a polite manner to try to get down to the bottom of this investigation. I would review and reflect on the safeguard protocols that we had. Did I follow them correctly? And then if I did, we need to make some changes. I'd then report back my findings to the district office about, what happened to the money, if we found out anything, and then from that point on, I'd follow district office and board policies for reconciliation. All right, category 3, resolve the issues based on the success of all students. Number 1, I'm going to change the protocols and safeguards. I think you got to require a signed receipt for reconciliation. The ticket taker needs to sign it. The administrator needs to sign off. Everything needs to be signed off that we have the correct amount of money and the correct amount of tickets being used. That way we have verification and documentation of the money from both ends. Two, I think you got to have the torn pay stubs as evidence as well. Like if we have a voided pay stub, it's got to be collected as evidence. Otherwise, the ticket taker needs to be held liable to pay for that ticket that's missing. Two, responsible parties pay the $50 back to the school. If anyone is found guilty or confesses up to $50, they should pay the money back immediately. If no one's found guilty without much evidence, it needs to be reported to district office, and then the board policies for reconciliation of money need to be followed, whatever that procedure is in your school district. Four, remove the ticket takers from working events, possibly hire helpers. I think that in this case, this would be very good evidence to say, hey, maybe we should start hiring help instead of having people work for free or volunteer their time. And that way there's not any issues with possible fraud or theft. And then five, money needs to be safeguarded for student use only. I think it's important that the money is for the students. The reason we're doing this is to not have the money stolen from the students, and that way it can be used on athletic events and academic purposes. Category 4, debriefing the situation. I think parent involvement's good, support's good, helping's good, but I'm not sure it's the best option in this case, especially when it's money that's at the issue here. Safeguards need to be updated and followed. We've talked about that already. There needs to be some changes to policies. You need to interview both ticket takers, get to the bottom of this, check their stories, see if they match up, see if there's discretionary issues, see if there's leading to if there's other leads to the situation. Then I would say if there's not a resolution, we've got to go to the board for the reconciliation of the lost money, take ownership of not following protocol or not having a strong protocol in place, and take the consequences from there. And then I think you got to learn from the situation, make changes immediately. And then this is one I really think is important. Maybe we remove people that you believe are character risks or have a history of making poor decisions with the money. After this is, cleared, maybe you don't allow Mrs. Bowman to work anymore, or the other ticket taker. You don't think they're very trustworthy people, so you remove them from a situation where they could be harming students and the funds of the school district and the funds of the students. And then I think it's very important to value healthy relationships. That's why I think hiring help would be the best situation here. That way a relationship's not possibly damaged by someone wanting to steal money or make a poor decision. Category 5, reflection. There's 3 reflection areas. Number 1, promoting effective and efficient management of school district. The school or the district I have 4 things here: review and update the protocol, which we've talked about for the help, signing off on reconciliation with administration, returning any voided tickets as evidence is not being sold. That's a change that needs to happen. And then you must follow the protocol and the changes that you've made, and then follow the protocol for the reconciliation of stolen money, whatever the district requires of that, and whatever consequences come from those safeguards not being followed. Second reflection is on promoting social learning of every student. I think it's important to spend the money appropriately for all the students' benefit. Be very careful and non-attacking when questioning the ticket takers and interviewing them. Keep the relationship in a positive manner. And then 3, provide safeguards for the funds for concessions and ticket sales. Change how we handle the money. Make sure that we are safeguarding and avoiding theft and fraud issues. And 4, finally, follow safeguards and protocols to protect these funds for the students. It's the students' money. It's for them. And it's, as an administrator, it's our job to make sure we protect that money and then we use it correctly, which leads to my third reflection point of academic learning. As an administrator, it's our job to appropriately use the money for academic and activity purposes for the students, use the money, the funds for the students' benefits, and then more importantly, use it for the benefit of the majority of the students of the activity. I think Mr. Stevens made a very good choice in denying that request, since it was only going to be for one student and it was such a heavy amount of money, or a large amount of money, that wasn't appropriate use of school money that could be used in a much better manner. And then 4, I think you need to update and follow district building protocols for the safeguards. We talked about it quite a bit today, and those need to be changed and modified, and they need to be followed so an issue like this doesn't occur in the future. Thank you for watching my case study.